right. When you hear the music, it's time for We Nation Podcast. What's up, everyone? This is Uncle Devin, the children's drum cushionist, and I'm so glad that you're here for another amazing show. And before we get started and bring forward our guest for today, I want to remind you to make sure that you go and visit us at WeNation.com, WeNationRadio.com, and where you'll find the best in family-friendly global beats for little feet. And this is our podcast for our station, and we're all over the place. You can go and check us out in many different platforms, including Hey Google and Roku TV, Amazon Fire, Amazon Alexa. So make sure you follow us, because guess what? The more you follow, the more you get to learn and hear about all these amazing artists who are doing wonderful things for children and can help us continue to push what we're pushing forward through all of our communities. So make sure you follow us. But listen, I've got to bring forth a guest who's no stranger to the We Nation platform. You know her as the 2003 second runner-up of American Idol. That's right, the American Idol. But she's an amazing cook. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but has a new Christmas album that we want to share with you. And is a great promoter, social media manager with the IM Entertainment and more. Let me be quiet and bring up the one and only Kimberley Locke. Welcome to We Nation.
Devin, you're so funny. It's like watching a kid. It's like watching a kid. You're like so happy and so animated. I need some of that.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I don't do caffeine, so I can't say where it's coming from, but
it's natural.
That right. Well, welcome again, and I'm glad that you're here. And I want to make sure that we share with everyone some amazing things. But again, we talked about this before. Just for those who may not be familiar, other than what I just mentioned, tell them a little bit about you, what you've been up to, what you're doing, and then we're going to talk about your amazing album.
Thank you. Well, 'tis the season, right? So
yes.
I have actually been promoting this album since July. We did a Christmas in July campaign. So yes. I have been talking about Christmas already for 6 months. So, it has been kind of all consuming the last 6 months with being in the studio and, finalizing all the tracks and putting together the team to promote it. So it's always, how it is. It's so gratifying when you become pregnant with the idea, right?
That's right.
Then you watch it manifest and you put all these pieces together. And then at the end, you're like, I did that. So that's really what I've been up to mostly, music wise.
And this is the album Christmas is Here.
Yeah.
Featuring EMP3. So what inspired you to do this album?
So I had a Christmas album out in 2005 where I had 3 #1 Christmas singles off of that album. I was signed with Curb Records at the time. And at that time, I don't think any other artist had done that, had 3 #1s off of a Christmas album. So I kind of got into this whole Christmas music, genre. And I put out a Christmas single over the last probably 3 or 4 years, just a single. And I was just trying to find my way as an independent artist, figure out what I wanted to do, where I wanted to focus on, because you also know that I'm very much into the entertainment business side of things. So I was trying to figure out, am I going to, go full business mode or, so ultimately I realized, as most of us artists do, that if we stop doing our art, it's like cutting off our foot. So
right.
I realized like I don't have to choose and I can do both. And it's actually working out so well that I am doing my stuff and I'm also building my business and helping other artists, pursue their goals. And, listen, I've been doing this now for almost 20 years. When I say that, when I hear that, I'm like, what you talking about?
Yeah, really that's great. And so with this particular CD, and you're right, you're an artist at true at heart, so you're gonna always be creating. So talk about some of the songs on the album and what we can expect.
So one of the things that what happened a couple years ago, like many of us do, we put on music choice or we put on our favorite streaming service and we're listening to music. And during the holidays, I'm listening to Christmas music. And I listen to music choice on purpose because they play so many obscure Christmas songs that I've never heard. And so I kept a notepad by the TV. And every time one would come up, I'd run to the TV, I'd write it down, and then I would go and do my research. So one of the songs on the album is called Mrs. Santa Claus. It was done by Nat King Cole in 1954. And it's just this straightforward classic Christmas album in the true spirit of Nat King Cole. And it's beautiful, right? But I was like, I have never heard the song before. Mrs. All the songs are about Santa Claus. Nobody writes about Mrs. Santa Claus, right? So I recorded that. And then we did a cover of Snow by Rosemary Clooney, another song that I'm not that familiar with. And what I love about that song is that it's not about Christmas per se. It's about the season. And it's about, the visual that we get when we're, driving to grandma's house and you see that blanket of snow covering the mountains and the hillsides. And the other song I did, this is not, okay, so Santa Claus Is Coming to Town is a pretty standard Christmas song. Everybody's done it. Jackson 5, everybody. I think Rod Stewart did it. So everybody under the sun has done that one. But there is a prelude to that song that a lot of people don't know. And it's very unique. Ella Fitzgerald did it. And Perry Cuomo did it. And it's not very many people that I heard do it. And I was like, I want to do that. So I picked a lot of obscure songs that, maybe people aren't that familiar with, or people are like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that song. And I just, wanted to make it fun. This band is fantastic. So it was fun putting the song list together.
Yeah, that sounds great. In fact, you're right. There's so many holiday songs that don't get the attention because we're so used to just, the standards. So I appreciate you even doing that. And talk a little bit about EMP3.
So EMP3 is Eli, Manny, and Patrick. So Eli is the guitar player. Manny is the drummer, who is hilarious. And Patrick is the bass player. And they're all phenomenal musicians. They are out of Brooklyn, New York. And my studio partner that I work with on a regular basis, when I said to him and said, I want to do a Christmas album, he said, I've got the perfect band. And I was like, awesome. So these guys have been recording in the studio and he connected us and we all hit it off. And these guys are world musicians. Like they've played for a lot of artists and they've played all over the world. I mean, a couple of them have that good old church background that we all love, right?
Right.
So it was really fun recording because I'm the kind of person that, especially when it comes to being creative, I don't want to force anything. So we just went in the studio and I knew that these guys would make it special without even saying that to them. So the vibe and the groove of this album, it's funky, it's retro, it's still classic. It's still classic, and it's still Kimberley Locke. And that's what I love, that I didn't have to go to them and say, I want an album that sounds like this. It just organically happened.
Right. And if people want to get it, we're posting up the link here. But if you go to your link tree, or that's link for those that are listening, linktr.ee/Kimberley Locke. And she puts an E in between the L and the Y at the end and an E at the end of Locke. But you want to make sure that you all get that, and we're playing it on We Nation Radio. We hope that it's playing everywhere because it's an awesome song, and I love the uniqueness of it.
Thank you.
That you created with that, and so I know that we've had that, but you also we know that earlier this year you also it was this year you released your lullaby.
I did,
Mhm.
so I think a lot of artists created a lot of music during COVID, right? It was one of those
Yes.
times where there was really nothing else you could do other than
Mhm.
make music, right?
Mhm.
So, for me, going into the studio and writing is not always my favorite thing to do, a full
Mhm.
disclosure.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be a very exhaustive process, as you know,
Mhm.
and I don't think people understand like the energy that goes into writing. So I have a friend who's a school teacher,
Mhm.
and he teaches K through 5th grade, I think, or 4th grade, and he
Yes.
teaches music. And I said, let's do a kids album together, let's do our first project together. And what happened was we came up with this beautiful, sweet little lullaby album,
Mhm.
and it was, again, very interesting looking at some of the lullabies that we all kind of grew up with, right?
Mhm. Yes.
And a lot of these lullabies are so old that I think all of these lullabies are in the public domain, which is
Mm.
crazy, right?
So even the one, that you did with toys,
Oh no, I'm sorry, I forgot.
mm,
We wrote 2 or 3 songs on the
okay,
album. So
okay.
Toys we wrote.
Yes.
Actually, my studio partner,
Mhm.
JC, he has 2 kids. So
Yeah.
he is very much responsible for that song, and he's singing on that song too.
Oh, really? I think I
Yeah.
might did I hear I don't
Oh, wait a
remember.
minute. On Toys? Oh, no,
Yes.
he's singing on Bump Bump.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay,
It's
yeah, I
Bump
remember
Bump,
that, yes,
right, right.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it, and to me, it's, I can only imagine a child, laying down at night listening to this or taking a nap and just letting their mind just venture them off to sleep into
Yeah,
to a beautiful
some of my
lullaby.
sweetest messages that I get via social media are from, grandparents
Mhm,
who have their grandbabies for the weekend, and they're like,
mhm.
"Oh my God, Kimberly, I'm playing your lullaby album and she's fast asleep." And they take a picture of the child and send it to me. And I'm like, that's a violation of privacy, but I guess that's what grandparents do, right?
Right, of course, there's no rules when it comes to them, that's
No
right.
rules. No.
Well, I know that, I'm just so happy for you, and I'm glad that you did the lullaby CD because that's how we eventually got to
That's
know
how we
one another
met.
and work with each other. Yes, and so it's just so awesome with that. And I mentioned it earlier, and I said you're a fabulous cook, and I know in one of our previous emails, interviews, you were talking about your work that you were doing with Emerald. How's that going?
You know what? How blessed am I that
Hmm.
I get to stand next to the legendary chef Emeril Lagasse and soak it
Yeah.
all in.
Mhm.
Honestly, working with him is like being in a master class every
Oh
time I
yeah.
step foot on set with him. He was one of the original TV hosts or TV
That's right.
chefs.
That's
So
right.
it's like watching him work. I'm constantly, I'm constantly taking notes from the television hosting aspect of it, but I'm
Yes.
always taking notes on the food. And let me
Mhm.
tell you, one of the things about him that I love is
Mhm.
he cares about the integrity of the food. I don't care if we're doing a walkthrough. He wants
Mhm.
that food to be perfect from beginning to end. And that's what I love about him.
'Cause in fact, he's been around so long. In fact, was Doc what was the drummer, he used to have on the show with him?
Oh yeah.
Doc,
He's the OG, man.
yeah, yeah, and so I know him through another drummer, and I met him
Gotcha.
one time, and I mean, and that was just to me, that was food and music. You couldn't get any better than that. It was
Well, here's
great.
a little fun fact about Chef
Mhm,
Emeril Lagasse. He
mhm.
sings in a band.
Does he? How come he never sings on the show? He should just sing while he
So
cooks or something.
I get him to sing with me behind the scenes when the cameras aren't rolling, and it's great. Like,
Oh,
so
wow.
he's also, listen, creativity knows no boundaries,
Yeah,
right?
that's right,
And
that's right.
that's the great thing about what I love about what
Mhm,
you're doing with We Nation Radio and the Uncle
mhm,
Devin show is that, when little kids, like when I was a little kid, I
mhm.
didn't have any guidance musically, so
Exactly.
if I had an Uncle Devin show or a
Mhm,
We Nation Radio, like if I had that to, kind of just support me and give me more ideas. Who knows? It could have been very
Right.
different. It worked out pretty well for me, but
Yes,
this whole, this whole thing with creativity, it is blurred. The lines are blurred. It took
exactly.
Chef Emeril Lagasse, who is restaurateur extraordinaire,
Mhm,
legendary television cook, chef,
mhm,
culinary trained, and
mm,
what he loves to also do is sing in
mm.
his band. So
Wow.
it's like, it's really interesting, the parallels, right?
Yeah,
When
yeah.
you move from, creativity to creativity.
So what is he, a tenor? Is he a baritone? Is he soprano?
I think he's like a really nice tenor, man.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
I
and
can see that. I can see that.
he loves the classics. So
Okay.
he's like a swooner. He loves it. He loves it.
Uh, well, just like we love your CD, Christmas is Here, featuring EMP3. And I want to encourage everyone to go to your Linktree account, Kimberly Locke, and find all the information out about it. It's an awesome CD, perfect time for the season. And you have a release coming up. Is it the 13th of December? Did I see that?
Oh, I'm doing a show. I'm
Oh,
doing
you're
a
doing a
show
show. That's what it is.
on
Okay.
On December 13th, I'm doing a show at Birdland, the legendary Birdland
Oh,
in
that's right.
New
That's
York
what I
City.
saw. Oh my goodness. I
And then
I've
I have
never been.
yeah, you know what? It's such a beautiful space for
Mhm.
an artist to perform in. It's going to be great. And
Yeah.
then I have another show on December 23rd in Danbury, Connecticut, where I'm bringing in other artists. I've got a ballerina. I've got a
Oh.
group of girls who are going to come in and do a dance. I've got a
Oh.
horn section coming into play. And of course, I'm doing it with a trio. And I have a friend of mine from Broadway, Avion Toils. He is coming in to do a song or two or three. I'll say how many I can get him to do. But it's going to be a fun variety show on the 23rd. So yeah, I've got
Okay.
those two things coming up.
Great. So that also means that you're still available to perform. You're doing performances, I'm sure, all over the
Oh yeah.
place. So
Oh
people can go to your link tree and find information on how to reach you about shows,
yeah.
your
Absolutely.
music, your cooking, everything.
Everything.
um,
It's all
um,
there.
well, thank you so much for spending a little time and sharing with us this awesome album. And now you have me going back, and I may listen to your songs and then want to, because you mentioned Ella Fitzgerald, you mentioned
Yeah. Well,
Cuomo,
I
Perry
know you're a
Cuomo.
big music history buff. So you've
Uh-huh.
taught me a few things since we've known each other
Mhm,
this short period of time. So
mhm.
go and check it out.
Okay. Mhm.
Some of these songs are really good.
Oh,
And,
yes.
one of the things I also love, which I know
Mhm.
you appreciate too, is like hearing the evolution of music, right? And
Yes.
listening to Perry Cuomo and listening to Ella Fitzgerald, but then listening to some of the newer versions and the newer nuances and the instrumentation and the
Right.
interpretation. Like, it's pretty cool
It
how
is.
music is the gift that just keeps on giving, and it's all left up to interpretation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it is. And you mentioned Perry Como, one of my favorites of his Grammy Award winning song, Catch a Falling Star. I love that. And so
Oh,
I've been playing that for years. And then now to know that
okay.
there's another song of his that I'm not familiar with, now I'm intrigued. So
There you go.
well, thank you again so much for not only all this, but just being an amazing person and helping us here at We Nation Radio and the Uncle Devin Show. I mean, our presence looks that much bigger and brighter because of you and I
Oh,
Am Entertainment. So thank you so much.
thank you, Uncle Devin.
All right, and we'll be in contact with you shortly.
All right.
All right. And for everyone else, there you have it, the one and only Kimberly Locke. Make sure you go to her page at Kimberly Locke on Linktree, linktree.ee/Kimberly Locke. And she spells her name Kimberley. And the last name is Locke with an E at the end. That was awesome. I'm glad you had a wonderful time. Don't forget to visit us again and tune in 24/7 on We Nation Radio. This is what it's all about, and this is our gift to the world. So make sure you join it. If you have any questions, let me know. Let us know if you have any comments. If you have some music you want to share with us, you'll find all that information there. But listen, I got to get out of here. I am Uncle Devin, the children's drum cushionist, and as I always say, life is a drum, so beat it.